Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Educators Ag Institute. Today, we will be learning about how to engage secondary students in the dairy industry. We'll be joined with Michelle Shearer. So I'm Cassie, I'll be your host, and I want to just go over a little bit of housekeeping first. In the chat box, there is a link for the pretest. Please make sure you take that if you haven't done so already. In addition, there are links to Google Drive documents. One is Michelle's PowerPoint, another is a one-pager, and those might be helpful for you to be able to click on some links for some of our interactive activities later today. Now, during the session, we will not be able to see or hear you. There is instead a chat box. If you want to send a message to everyone, make sure it says panelists and attendees if you want to share resources or anything. There's also a Q&A. Please drop your questions in that one and we'll get to them at various points. And just remember to be respectful because everything is visible to everyone. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Michelle.
Thanks, Cassidy. Hi, my name is Michelle Shearer. As Cassidy said, I am going to talk with you a little bit today about ways that you can engage middle and high school students in dairy. And so let me just share my screen here. Cassidy, could you give me sharing options? There we go. I think now I should be able to share. Oops. Oh, there I am. Okay. So as Cassidy said, I do have a PowerPoint and I have shared that with you all. And so my name is Michelle and I have been working for the Center for Dairy Excellence and the Dairy Excellence Foundation since September. I've been working with the Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow curriculum. So that's what I am doing with the center. So again, the last 15 months has been a little bit challenging as educators. I do understand education and educators. I have 25 years of experience as an educator in secondary math, as well as an administrator. And I know that in the last 15 months, we've seen how technology can be used in the classroom to bring experiences and learning in and out of the classroom. And so today I wanted to go through 3 online technology tools that I believe that you can use in your secondary classroom, no matter whether it is a math classroom, a science classroom, art classroom, or you're in an ag classroom, and being able to use that to engage students and motivate them. And so we'll talk about that. Also, I'll discuss to you the program, Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, and the different things that we have to offer free of charge as well. So with that, then I'm going to, so again, essential questions. Hopefully out of this, you'll be able to answer these 3 questions, looking at how technology can engage and motivate students in the classroom. You'll be able to know the key components of Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, and then how can you use the technologies and/or Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow in your classroom. So what I want to do first is to talk about the 3 online technology tools that I've been using as I've been revising the curriculum, Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow's curriculum, and ways that you could actually use those in the classroom. Because they're supposed to be engaging to students, I thought it would be great to use those technologies to show you and to engage you as well. And so we'll work through those also. First one I want to talk about, though, is Quizizz. Quizizz is free for all educators. They do have a premier option that has a fee to it. Typically, Quizizz is used to assess students' learning. So you can use it as a pre-assessment, vocab and definition practice. You can review for quizzes and tests. You can even give it a post-assessment. Quizizz does have a lot of different options in questioning. You can use multiple choice, checkbox, fill in the blank, pull, and open-ended style. One piece of information that I really believe sets quizzes apart from a more popular one of Kahoot is that it can be live or it could be assigned as homework. And this is something that a student can do at their pace, which Kahoot doesn't always allow for. So again, you know, in the last 15 months, as educators, I'm sure you have been at sometimes virtual with your students. Sometimes you maybe have had to assign them work to be able to do. And so again, this is a way for you to be able to assign this to students to do, and then you'll be able to look at the data and see that. Another key component of Quizizz is not only do they have a library of existing quizzes, but they do have a bank of every single question that's in all of the quizzes. So you can search questions as well. So it has a lot there. And again, as a math teacher in the past, this option, the next one, being able to add math equations is really nice because it has that formula or that function there. So you're able to do that. And also being able to add images to the questions. And then again, Quizizz just has some neat little features that as students are going along, maybe they're doing pretty well with things, they can power up, they can use 50-50 to maybe get rid of some of the options because they've done well in the others. There's things with double jeopardy. Again, all these different rewards they can use as they're taking the quizzes. So with that, what I would like to see is if you can maybe do a Quizizz game example. So I thought, you know, in terms of dairy, what's a topic that maybe you have some familiarity with, kind of a foundational type of a topic. And so all three of the examples will be on the major breeds of dairy cattle. Basically, there are 7 major breeds of dairy cattle. We have the Ayrshire, the Brown Swiss, the Guernsey, the Jersey Holstein, and then we also have red and white, which are the red and white Holsteins. And then we also have milking shorthorns. So there are 7 major breeds of dairy cows. And so for you to be able to play the quizzes, what you're going to do, and you can use your, if you have your computer or you can use your phone, you want to go to www.joinmyquiz.com. So as you're doing that, again, joinmyquiz.com, I am going to exit out of my presentation. I'm going to go into my quizzes. So let me just move something here and go to my quizzes. And so, again, as I'm doing this, I just want to show you something with the quizzes here. We have a live quiz option, which is instructor-led, or that asynchronous learning. So again, you can assign it as homework. What we're going to do is we're going to do the live quiz. And again, there's 2 different ways you can do that. You can do it in a classic. And classic is students progress at their own pace and they'll see the leaderboard and live results, or it can be instructor based. So really kind of like what Kahoot does, where you control the pace so everyone advances through each question together. We're going to do the classic, and this is one thing that I would say with the classic, what I like about the classic in Quizizz is that students can progress through, so you'll progress through at your pace. There is also the option, if you have struggling readers in your classroom, that there is an option that you can actually have a quiz read to you. So if, and you'll see when you're doing the quiz and you're going through questions, and there's only 7 questions to this one, you'll see though that you can do that, that you can have it read it to you. This is a very basic quiz. You're going to see a photograph, and you're going to have to say which breed of dairy cow that is. Again, out of those 7 major breeds, and it's a multiple choice, so there's 4 choices there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the classic. Again, it's going to be classic, so you're going to progress through, but you'll be able to see the leaderboard. You will have 5 seconds for each quiz question. Again, I think it's pretty easy. It's just a photograph, and you're going to just see what you know. What I would say to you is this is what, when we talk about the curriculum, this is an intro to dairy course, lesson 1.4, and this is something that a teacher could do as a pretest. See what they know before we start the lesson on the 7 major breeds of dairy cows, to see what they know. So I'm going to click continue here, and then again, when you're what you're going to do is you're going to go to your device, you're going to go joinmyquiz.com, and then you're going to type in this join code. So that's the join code 340348. And that's what you're going to do. I'm going to click start. Let's see here. Let me go back a second. There, 340348. I'm just going to show you how this works. So people are already starting and they're working through it. And again, if someone's still entering through, it's 340348. So people can still continue to join. As you see, the number of players is increasing. So you can do that. Did it at all? So again, just some of the keys here. There are 2 students that are done right now. You can see that in their points. You can see that you have 18 out of 24 done. So again, it'll continue to go until everyone is finished. Again, we had someone add there, have that. So again, we can see these 3 all got that, all 7 of them right. You can see the difference in points because it goes by speed as well. There's a little bit of points given based on that. We can see that 25 out of 26 are done. We'll continue to watch this until we get to the 26 done. Again, there's no person yet for that. So again, you can see everyone there, everyone in what they have in terms of scores. And again, looking at this in terms of what they do. So if I go now to this, I just hit end and I say, yes, I'm sure I want to end this. Then we can see how we can see the top 3 there, how they've placed. Again, this is a nice feature as well. It gives us this information for all of our participants. It does show by question. So we can see that, for example, question 1, 100% of the participants knew the answer to that. We can see that question 2, that was a little more difficult. Only 26% of the participants were able to answer that correctly. So again, this is some really nice data that we can see there. We can also see there's an email feature to email the parents if we want. Again, if we had that information loaded, we could use that as well. So there's a lot of data there to be able to look at and to use and utilize as well. And again, you can go into this and you can review the questions. So again, this was 100%. All 27 players knew that this was a Holstein. We can go through and we can look at this and we can say, okay, so this one was a little more difficult. Again, it is an Ayrshire, but as you know about, if you know about breeds, red and whites can look somewhat like that as well. Milking Shorthorn, sometimes depending on the coloring of that and so on. And again, if I go back there, that was the toughest question. If I go up to here, again, this one was easiest. So again, that's just some data there that we can use when we're looking at quizzes. So that is just one of the 3 that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to just X out of that and I'll just minimize and let's return to the PowerPoint. Again, when we are looking at quizzes, that's just a way that we can use quizzes. The next one I want to look at is Quizlet. And so Quizlet, again, has free access to all educators. They do have what they call Quizlet Teacher that has a fee to it. Really, what I would say to you is Quizlet is a good type of technology. If we're looking at memorization, we're looking at understanding course content, and it does have that flashcard type version. And that's where I would say to you with Quizlet, there are a lot of ways that you can use it, but definitely if we're talking about content where we want to know or we want them to know certain content. It does allow educators and students to be able to construct and store, edit, and publicly share study sets. I'll show you a study set that I've created on those 7 breeds of cows, of dairy cattle. It does also provide students with study tools, and we'll look at that as well. It does use study sets to access knowledge through matching, Gravity, and Quizlet Live. It can be used independently. It can be used collaboratively. It can be in the home. It can be in the classroom. So there's a lot that can be used with Quizlet, especially like we were talking about in the last 15 months with asynchronous learning. It's certainly something that can be done there. And the last point I want to make is students can download the study sets to their electronic device, and they can use it even when internet connection is not available. So let's just say that they want to study a certain study set, might be able to do that when they're at school and they have the Wi-Fi technology. They can save it to their device and they could use it at home, say if they don't have that ability for that. So again, there is a Quizlet Live feature. I just thought for our time, it might be better not to give you another game, I'll say at this point, and kind of show you some of the study sets and the ways that students can utilize that. But there is a Quizlet Live. Again, much like the others, there is a Quizlet.live that you go to. There is a code that you type in, and it's much the same way. You can gamify, and again, it's another gamify way. You can do this individually or in teams, and sometimes this is a nice one if you want to get students in teams, and it's randomized. You can randomize, so students don't really always pick their teams. Most of the time you just randomize them and they're in teams. And again, it's another great source of data to see how students are doing with the concept. So again, I'm not going to show you Quizlet Live. Instead, what I want to do is to kind of show you a flashcard set on major breeds of dairy cows, and then also give you some more information there. So again, I'm just going to X out of this quick. And go into the Quizlet. So what I have here is a study set. And again, all of these are public. So I've created them, they're public. This is the flashcard. So we're into the flashcards. And what I can do, and let me just go back here, is, for example, let me just go back to the beginning. So I just do them in alphabetical order. I think it's maybe the analytical mathematical part of me. I just like to have that. So for example, Ayrshire, if the student clicks on this flashcard, there is the definition of what an Ayrshire is with the photograph. Again, that photograph that was used in Quizizz. And so they can go through this, they can look at the word and or the breed and the definition of it. Again, there's brown Swiss, there's a picture of a brown Swiss, and then there's some information, again, a little bit of information about the brown Swiss and the breed of it, coloring, size, and maybe an important note about it. Same thing with Guernsey, same idea there. Again, Holstein, Jersey, milking shorthorn, and a red and white. So again, this is just something that students can do on their own. They can look at those flashcards, and then if they want, they can go through and they can go through a learn. So again, learn is an opportunity for them. Here is the definition. They match this up. So again, a breed of dairy cow with red and white spots, large in frame, known for being the newest breed of dairy cow since the 1960s. That's actually the Holstein, the red and white Holstein. So they would click that, says you're getting it, and then again, they would just go through and they would go through and learn that. Another feature, let me just go back here, they can write it. So again, there it is, and they would just type in the answer, and here it tells 7 remaining. There's 0 incorrect and 0 correct, but as they would do this, it would show if it was correct or incorrect, the numbers there. Spelling it. So if they wanted to, again, here's the photograph, this is the definition, and then you just click on this, you would just hear that, and then they would just type that. So this is just kind of a information in terms of spelling it. And then again, here's the test version. The test version, in this case, they give 2 written, where they type the answer, 2 matching, and then 2 multiple choice, and then a true and false. So they're using all of it, and then at the bottom, again, a way to check your answers. So this is all some information that you could have the students do in order to study it. Then what you could do is you could say to the students, you know, I would like you to actually try to, you know, to match them up. And so there's the study with the sets, and then there's a matching. So for example, if I click on the matching, it says making everything disappear. Is timed, and they just have to match everything up. So for example, it says here, again, these are all matched ups, or they have to match. So this one, again, I just clicked red and white, and that, if I'm looking here, here's the Holstein. So I would just click on that. Again, I would just match that up, and it disappears. So as you go through this, they're just disappearing. And so again, I would just click on that. Say I said this was a Browns, this was a Jersey, it gives you the red. Again, this is a brown Swiss. This one, if I said Guernsey, again, it does the red there. So this one's kind of nice because it's just kind of matching things up. And then again, it just tells you that second place and so on. So that's just another way that you can have them play this to see what they know. The other one that's kind of fun maybe for students is the gravity. So if you click on the gravity and you get started, you can have it in different difficulties. It says answer with the term, or answer with the definition, or random. So if you said the term and you go to let's go, you go to the start there, here's this, you would actually have to type in the answer and what that is. And so again, that's just some ways that they can play the game. And as I said, there's the live. You can do this as a class and test that also. So again, that's just an example of Quizlet and what you can do with Quizlet. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. And then the last one, which again, I would think if you're an educator, you've probably used Kahoot. If you haven't, it's very popular in education. Again, that kind of a game situation where you're trying to motivate and activate students' learning. It is free for all educators. They do have a K 360 version, that's for a fee. What this does is it can be used as a pre-assessment. It can be used as vocab definition practice, review for quiz or test or post-assessment. So it's a lot like Quizizz. It can be used in a lot of ways as Quizizz is. It has questions with 4 responses. So multiple choice and true false questions work well with that. You can create your own Kahoots, or again, there's an extensive Kahoot library as well. So you can look at public ones. So for example, the Kahoot that I have here and any that I do through Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, I do make those public. So, and it's really nice to be able to utilize something that's already existing like that. So let me just, when we talk about playing Kahoot, again, educators set up a free account. Students can play individually or in groups. Once the game's launched, there's a join code. Again, the multiple choice that's created by the educator are projected on the classroom screen. So when we play Kahoot in a couple minutes, you will not see the questions on your screen. What you will see are just the colors. So again, you'll see this screen. So if you have a phone or some other device, or maybe you're on your phone for this webinar, if you have another device, it might make it easier when you're playing the Kahoot, because there has to be that classroom screen, and then the student's device will have the colors for the choices. Again, students receive points for both accuracy and promptness. So default is 1,000 points. So when it's launched and when students start, again, there's this idea of correct answer and also the time. One thing that's nice with the Kahoot, because the teacher is leading it, and that's another thing. When we did the quizzes, I was not really leading that. You were doing that at your pace. So this one, teacher really is the one leading this and at the pace. What's nice about everybody doing it together is then you can actually use this as an opportunity to talk with students. Oh, I see some of you didn't get this right. Well, this is what it would be. And, you know, you can talk about it right then and there. You are restricted to just 4 response options. And then again, correct answers displayed on the screen as well as a scoreboard. So you can see the top 5 usually of how people are doing. And then once the Kahoot is completely done, you'll see the 3 top point earners on what they call a podium. And so again, with the Kahoot, what I've done is I've put an example. So what you'll do is go to kahoot.it. So what you'll do is go kahoot.it, and then I'll launch the game, and then we'll go through it. So one thing when you are launching the Kahoot, the student will put in the code, and then they'll put in the game pin. Put in the game pin, and then they'll have to give a nickname. So you'll have to put a nickname on the screen, and then that's what will identify you. So let me go out of that. Let me go into the Kahoot. So this one is on major breeds of dairy cattle. There are 10 questions to this one. And again, you have some options there. I'm just going to, instead of assigning it, again, they do have the self-paced training that you can do as well. So that is a feature that you can use. Most will use the Kahoot in terms of a presentation mode, and that's how we're going to use it today. Again, you can do that with teams. You can do that as one-on-one players. So we're going to just do classic, which is one-on-one. And so again, it's kahoot.it. So if you go to kahoot.it, and then this is the code that you will enter, 9680068. And so again, we'll wait for players. And there is usually some music. I'm not sure if you can really hear the music. But as you can see, people start joining in. So we can see people are joining in. So again, what you want to do is to let students, give them some time to join in to this. If you're in a classroom and you know you have 22 students that day, then you know that you should be seeing a 22 there. And you should be able to see the students as they are joining in. That's up to you. If you want to say to your students, you want them to use their first name, or again, sometimes students have fun with just picking a clean nickname, you know, an appropriate nickname, or a letter or whatever, as we have here. Got milk, I know, whatever that might be. So again, it's just Kahoot.it. And then what you're going to use is the game pin, which is 9680068. And then it'll ask you for a nickname. So you'll type in something. Again, as you can see, it can just be a letter. It can be initials. It can be, you know, got milk. It can be a person's name like Cassidy. It could be a last name, however that is. So again, one thing you'll want to do is just kind of give students time to get in. And if they're having any issues or any problems with it, you know, help them out. Again, KM, I think, knows what they're doing because they put little emoji with it. So again, students get very creative with that, just as you all are as well, in being able to do that. And then over here is the start. So when you're ready to start, all you have to do is click the start. And again, this is going to be at a teacher's pace. So we're talking about the major breeds of dairy cattle. I've put it to 10 seconds, so you have to answer it in 10 seconds. Again, here's the screen. So which breed of dairy cow makes up 90% of all dairy cows? And so the red triangle is Brown Swiss, the blue diamond is Guernsey, the yellow circle is Holstein, and then the Jersey. Again, if everyone has already answered, it will just, again, we only have 10, you only have 10 seconds. You can go from 5 seconds all the way up to 2 minutes. So in this case, I just made it 10 seconds to keep it going. Again, this is where you could say, oh, look at this, 18 students have this right. Holstein is what that is. And then again, you have that data there to be able to look at. And then, as I said, right here is a next. So then you just click the next, and then it shows you points. Again, all of these are defaulted at 1,000. And again, everyone may have the correct answer here on the leaderboard. It's just, well, they do, because if they didn't, it'd be 0. So they all have it correct, but it's also based on your speed. So Morgan was the speediest of all of them with that. So Morgan has 835. Again, this is just showing that. So we'll go to the next question. Question 2. Which breed of dairy cow is known for the golden color of her milk? And so in this case, Ayrshire is the red triangle, the blue diamond is Guernsey, the orange circle is Jersey, and milking shorthorn was the green square. So again, in this case, we could look at this and we could say Guernsey is the breed of dairy cow known for golden color of her milk. That's why sometimes you'll hear her called the golden Guernsey, because it's all about the color of her milk there. So again, here's our leaderboard, and it will show us, in this case, Morgan dropped from the top 5, and now we have G with 1580. So again, showing in this case that G got the 2 right to be able to have 1,580 points. Next question, question 3. Which breed of dairy cow has the highest percentage of butterfat in her milk? So again, we have the red triangle Brown Swiss, the blue diamond Holstein, the yellow circle Jersey, and the green square was milking shorthorn. So again, 15 knew that that is a Jersey. And so that's what we have there. Here we go. G is on fire. G has 3 correct and is in the leaderboard still because of the accuracy and of the timing on that. So we'll go to the next question. Question 4, which breed of dairy cow is known for her adaptability to any environment? Is that the red triangle Ayrshire, brown Swiss is the blue diamond, yellow circle milking shorthorn, or the green, red, and white? And so again, this one is actually the Ayrshire. The Ayrshire is very adaptable to any environment. And so that's what she is really known for, and the Ayrshire breed is really known for. So that would be, again, we can see, you know, how everybody scored on this. We can see that as well. So now we can see the leaderboard. Again, shows here Cat is kind of on fire, has a good streak going there. G. Miller's now in the lead with 3,057. So now we go into the 5th question. Which breed of dairy cow is known as the oldest dairy cow, dating back as far as 400 BC? A red triangle Ayrshire, the blue diamond brown Swiss, the yellow circle Holstein, or the green square milking shorthorn? Again, a lot of you knew that, the brown Swiss. So 14 of you have that correct. The brown Swiss is the oldest dairy cow. Again, D. Miller still in the lead. Cat still second, and I think G still third, and it just moved. We have a little bit of movement there. Question 6 out of 10. Which breed of dairy cow is the newest dairy cow created back in the 1960s? Is that Ayrshire, red triangle, Holstein, blue diamond, the yellow circle Jersey, or the red and white at the green square? Again, the red and white. The red and white Holstein was created back in the 1960s. It is from the United States. The only one to have originated in the United States, actually. And so we see 16 of the respondents were able to get that. Again, if you're doing this, again, you only have a certain amount of time, so we kept it at 10 seconds. So there is that. Sometimes students may not get in the 10 seconds, or maybe you make it 20 seconds or whatever in your classroom as well. So here we go. We have seen a little bit of movement there, but again, the top 3 have stayed strong there. 7 out of 10. Which breed of dairy cow make up the first dairy cows brought to America? Ayrshire, brown Swiss, milking shorthorn, or red and white? Okay, so that's what we have, the milking shorthorn. Milking shorthorn were the first dairy cows brought to America. So 11 of you got that right. Again, did well with that. So we have everybody stayed where they're at in the top 5. Again, you should be getting some maybe details for your own on your device. It should be telling you where you might be at. It might be telling you like G has an answer streak of 3. It's probably giving you some data on yourself and where you might be. It might say that you're currently an 8th or wherever. So 8 out of 10 makes Guernsey milk golden in color. Is it vitamin A, beta carotene, calcium, or niacin? So what makes the Guernsey milk golden in color? So it's the beta carotene in the milk that makes that golden color for it. So let's see how we're at. All right, so D. Miller's still in the lead. We had a little bit of a fluctuation there in 2nd and 3rd, I believe. Question 9. Which breed of dairy cow would you own if you received a 20% bonus in hundredweight of milk for milk fat over 3.5%? So again, this is a little more difficult of a question. Would it be an Ayrshire, a brown Swiss, a Holstein, or a Jersey? Which one would you own if you got a bonus? Absolutely. 13 of you knew that would be the Jersey. Again, this is just showing you that you can, with multiple choice questions, have them a little more difficult. It doesn't always have to be, it can be a question, just like in any multiple choice questions, that can require some thinking and some application and just some application of that knowledge. And so again, going back to Jerseys being the highest in milk fat content, the Jersey would be what breed you would want to own if that's what you're looking for. So again, here's our leaderboard, and really stayed the same there. Did not change, just added some points. Last question. Which breed of dairy cow would you own if you wanted to yield high volumes of milk? Would that be a Guernsey, a Holstein, a Jersey, or a milking Shorthorn? So again, which one would you want to own? Absolutely, Holstein. And I think if you were in a Dane, their farm tour, you know that farm that you just toured from 1 to 2 o'clock, they have Holsteins. And I think that she even talked about that as something that they look at for high volume of milk. So again, nice job with that. Again, data shows you that students really are applying that knowledge of what they know about Holsteins and doing fairly well with that. So here's the end. So here is the podium. So Morgan, nice job, Morgan. You got 3rd place. You had 8 out of 10. G, nice, and you had 9 out of 10. And then D Miller, you got 10 out of 10. So again, it shows you too what you have there. It also gives you the runner-ups, so you can see the runner-ups as well. So again, just a way that you can motivate students, again, a way that you can review information. I know when I have been revising the curriculum, I've put Kahoots in as reviews before students would be taking the quizzes. So just a nice way to look at that. And again, you have the feedback there. You can play a new game. This tells you which was the difficult questions here. It shows you that question 4 and question 2 were definitely difficult ones that, maybe you would want to go back and you would want to talk about that a little bit. So, so again, just a way, hopefully, for you to be able to see how you can utilize that. Cassidy, at this point, before we go to Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow program, do you have any questions that are coming up that maybe we should answer at this point?
I do have one about if any of these apps are useful for adult learners or older learners.
I definitely think there is use for that. I will say when we have our board meetings, so we have the Center for Dairy Excellence Board, and we also have Dairy Excellence Foundation Board. For example, we did with adults. So the board consists of adults who are in the dairy industry. We did do some Kahoots with them, looking at some of the learning that they might be doing as a board. So I do think that, as I said to Cassidy earlier, I think with maybe our more mature learners, we'll call them, I think sometimes there's a learning curve because they might not have used it in the past. I think that probably in a middle school or a high school setting, your learners have probably used Kahoot, so they probably know what they're doing and they probably have utilized that. So I definitely think there's all different ways that you can utilize this. Like I said, we have our board meetings and we've used Kahoot just to look at some of the information that we presented to see what they, what they've learned from those presentations. I will say that when we get into the farm tours, when we talk about Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, we did do Kahoots at the end of each of our tours in the fall, just to see what students learned about the careers that we presented, about the farms that we presented as well. So again, I think there's all sorts of ways that you can use Kahoot. Again, you can use Quizizz, you can use Quizlet as well. I think, again, the most popular, I think, out of the 3 is Kahoot. Although I will say to you, I think there's a lot of different options in Quizizz that make Quizizz just as good, and maybe in some respects better, depending on what you're looking at using it for. So yeah, definitely, I think you can use it with all different types of learners. Anything else at all, Cassidy, that you're seeing at this point?
No, that's all we have for now, but just a reminder to drop your questions in the Q&A box.
All right. Well, thank you. I hope that that has given you some more information. Again, just to kind of recap the 3 different types, we have the quizzes. And again, quizzes is something that you can definitely do that as a whole group. You can do that as teacher-led. I think that quizzes is nice because it can also be student-paced. You can use it for asynchronous learning. Students, you can, again, as you saw the leaderboard there, students can go through at their own pace. Students also have the ability for questions to be read to them, so they have that listening aspect. Quizlet is nice because you can take and make study sets and really flashcards so that they can learn information that way. And again, being secondary teachers, I know that there's vocabulary that you're using in your classrooms. Even if it's a math classroom, you're using vocabulary such as what a fraction is, or a quotient, or product. You know, in a history classroom, you might be using information about people, you know, who did invented this, or you might be looking at places as well and their historical significance. So there's a lot of different ways you can use the flashcards and the study sets in Quizlet. And then lastly, Kahoot. Kahoot is a way to be able to really review things. It's more of, again, I would say most of the time we use it as a teacher-paced type of a situation where we're looking at that. So hopefully you have been able to learn a little bit about that. Again, I'm thinking that some of you definitely have used these 3 in the past and continue to use those, because I think that when we're talking about students being engaged in the classroom, being motivated by their learning, I think that these types of gamification of concepts and skills can certainly be used to get students motivated, get them engaged in their learning. And at the same time, it gives you some information to know if they have learned the information or not. So I'm going to turn the rest of the time and attention to really talking about what I do with the Center for Dairy Excellence and the Dairy Excellence Foundation, which is Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow. So I think in the dairy farm tour, there was a talk about the dairy herd manager and what type of education the dairy herd manager may or may not have. And again, I think that varies from dairy farm to dairy farm. I think that there are some dairy herd managers who have gone to a place like Penn State University. Maybe they had an animal science or dairy science major, maybe with even an agribusiness major or minor as well. And they come to a farm as a dairy herd manager and work that way. A dairy herd manager could also be someone, as what was said on the farm, that did not have any other formal training, but grew up on a dairy farm, worked on a dairy farm, really learned from the experience that they had on that. So, you know, again, when we're talking about the dairy industry, there are many careers within the dairy industry. The Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow is a program that has 3 components to it, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. The website is dairyleadersoftomorrow.com. If you were to go to the website right now, you would not see it look like this. We're in a revision process, and so this is what it will look like. These are some of the demo sites and pictures that you're going to see throughout this. Again, if you would go right now, you would see the old way of what the curriculum and the website looks like. So again, the Dairy Excellence Foundation was created to develop and support programs to educate, cultivate, and inspire. And again, when we talk about the Dairy Excellence Foundation, we talk about Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, we're talking about the future. So the Center for Dairy Excellence itself, that that component, Center for Dairy Excellence, is about helping the now, helping the farmers, the dairy farmers and the dairy producers. But we also have the Dairy Excellence Foundation, and really the Dairy Excellence Foundation is about the future. It's about educating the future producers in dairy. And so again, our vision is to empower the next generation of the Pennsylvania dairy industry. And again, our mission is to build and invest in programs that cultivate and inspire the next generation of producers, consumers, and advocates for the Pennsylvania dairy industry. The program is a program that's designed to prepare the next generation of dairy producers and dairy industry professionals. So again, this is typically a high school program. We do have some educators that use it in 7th and 8th grade, but typically 9th through 12th grade students. And again, it's a way for them to prepare them to work in the dairy industry, to understand information. Within the Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow program, there are 3 major components. There's a formal learning curriculum, there's the on-the-farm learning experiences, and there's scholarship opportunities. So again, the formal learning curriculum right now, if you went to the site, you would see the Introduction to Dairy course, you would see the Intro to Dairy Herd Management course, and you'd see the Intro to Dairy Business Management. All 3 of those courses have been under a process of revision. I've been working to revise the curriculum, update it, again, to add Quizizz and Quizlet and Kahoots, again, as resources for educators who are interested in using this in their classroom. We do have an Introduction to Dairy Technologies, and that's going to be new for 2021. And so when we do relaunch the site on August the 9th, there will be the Introduction to Dairy Technologies, and that is a new course that is really going to explore all the different technologies within the dairy industry. So it's pretty neat, the different lessons and what's going to be looked at there. One thing one component is that we have industry recognized certificates for both the dairy herd management and dairy business management. So students can receive certification for those 2 particular courses. And as I said, we are relaunching the site, and all 4 courses will be relaunched on Monday, August the 9th, with updated resources and embedded technology, such as what you saw with Quizlet and Quizizz and Kahoot. Again, these are just some photographs. Another component within the courses is the idea of the careers in dairy. So we do have information about careers in dairy. We have videos. So for example, when we were at our virtual farm tour in October, we do have video about an ag accountant and about a crop specialist. So there is information there. Again, if you're looking at showing careers in dairy, we do have on our YouTube channel, we have those videos. We also have a page just devoted to careers in dairy with Kahoots, with information with the videos and the links as well. Again, this is the Introduction to Dairy course, and it shows the different lessons and all of that as well. So that's one component, the 4 courses that we have to offer. The second component that we have is on-farm learning experiences. So typically we have farm tour that's held in the fall. Any students in grades 9 through 12 are eligible. They can sign up individually or as a group with an educator. They do not have to have taken any dairy courses. It can be that they're just interested in dairy. Usually we accept 50 to 75 students to attend in person. As we know, this past October, we were still in the pandemic, so we did not have that option. Instead, we looked at it virtually. So we did offer the tours virtually. This upcoming October, we're looking at having that option still virtually or in person. So we're looking at that. We also do have buses throughout the state of Pennsylvania that will pick up students. So we usually have 2 to 3 buses that are at key locations in Pennsylvania that will bus and transport students to the farm tour. Our farm tour consists of a dairy farm in the morning, an agribusiness, maybe it's a marketplace, maybe it's a a market that we have. Maybe it's a cheese plant, maybe it's a milk processing plant. It just depends where we're at in the state and what our accessibility is there. And then in the afternoon, there's another dairy farm that we have. The exploration experience is usually held in the spring. This one is a little more specialized. So this is for students in grades 11 and 12. They do have to submit an online application. We only accept usually 25 to 30 students. They have to provide their own transportation, but usually there's a theme around it. So it might be veterinary science. We had one with a veterinarian on a farm, and they were able to work through some information. They were given concepts and skills and then applied that in the afternoon. Worked with Penn State University and their food science department and had an exploration experience as well. We've also done ones with genetics and reproduction. So again, those are two on-farm learning experiences that we offer, all of it free of charge, because we have some gracious donors and sponsors who just want to see the next generation of the dairy industry educated on the skills and everything. So again, some photographs of what we had. This was from October in our virtual farm tour. You'll see, the video there. We were exploring on Maple Bottom Farm, the robotic milker they had. This was when we were in person 2 years ago. So you can see they were looking at the different, I think that was more looking at some of the crop, some of the ingredients in the crops. And then this was from when they went to Penn State University. And again, this would have been in the spring of 2020. They went, would have been, I believe, spring of 2020 or spring of 2019 when they went to Penn State University for the food science. Actually, it was the spring of 2019, because in spring of 2020, there was nothing that we were able to do there. And then even we had and as you see here on the on-farm learning experiences, we have one from spring of 2021 that we postponed. And so we are offering that in the fall. It's going to be on October 14th. It's going to be at the Brubaker Farm in Mount Joy. We have partnered with Premier Select Sires. So students will get a firsthand look at a Pennsylvania dairy farm. They'll look at various careers in the dairy industry, and then they'll present ideas to the dairy herd manager about a problem scenario. So again, they will be using the skills that they learn throughout the morning and into the afternoon to come up with some strategies, some solutions. And we will have online applications that will start in September. Also, we're planning on in-person farm tour, either October 1st or October 8th, either in Northeast or Eastern Pennsylvania. Again, we're looking at offering an in-person and a virtual option for that. So again, all this information is always posted on our website, dairyleadersoftomorrow.com. And lastly, out of that program, we have scholarship opportunities. So we have a student scholarship that's two $3,000 scholarships for undergraduate students. They do have to have completed and passed the introduction to dairy course in the exam, and also one of the other 3 certified courses and exams. The Educator scholarship that we give out, there are 3 of them. They are $1,000 scholarships for educators who are looking at having professional development opportunities. So it pays for expenses for that. Again, a registered member of the Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow program. And I will say right now we have 496 educators registered with Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow. Although we have probably, I would say, a fourth of those teachers are from the state of Pennsylvania, we do allow the teachers from any state to be able to use our curriculum. So, we have, in this case, about between 20 and 25% of the educators are from Pennsylvania. The other 75 to 80% of them are from Wisconsin, California, Vermont, Massachusetts. We have them from all of the different states in the United States. And then finally, we have a student leader scholarship through the center. That is 10 $3,000 scholarships They are specifically for Pennsylvania residents, and they have to be in a related post-secondary field of study related to the dairy industry. So that's the third component that we have. These were the 2 students that received the DLT student scholarship. As you can see, one was from Pennsylvania and one was from Wisconsin. So again, that is open to students who are working through the Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow. Again, registering for the site or for Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, you just go to the site and you register. You would register as a teacher. I would say to you, if you're interested in registering for that, I would wait until August 9th, because we are in the process with the relaunch of really cleaning that up and making it more educator friendly with codes and a revised process. And again, your registration gives you and your students exclusive opportunities such as the scholarships. And again, you have the opportunity for those experiences. So at this point, I will go back to Cassidy and see if there are any questions at this point.
If anyone has any last minute questions, now's the time to ask them.
Again, Cassidy did share with you on the Google Drive this PowerPoint, as well as I put together a one-pager of the resources and just important information I feel about Quizizz and Quizlet and Kahoot, as well as the links to those, and then a little bit about the Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow program as well. And again, my contact information is there, as well as on the PowerPoint. I do have that email, and I do have my cell phone, so you can feel free to call or text if you have any questions about the program, about the opportunities that we have through the Center for Dairy Excellence, through the Dairy Excellence Foundation. Again, the idea of Dairy Leaders of Tomorrow, which is our secondary program. So Brittany Snyder is our programs manager for the K-8 program, Discover Dairy. So if you are a middle school educator, you might want to tune in tomorrow morning, I believe, is when she has her presentation on the Discover Dairy program. Thank you very much, Cassidy, and the foundation for the opportunity to talk about that. I hope you were able to gain some information and insight. As I said, the 3 different online technology tools can be in your classroom no matter what subject you teach. You certainly can use those 3 technology tools in your classroom to engage and motivate.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing all of those with us and demonstrating them. It was very fun.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, Cassidy.